Fisheries Professional Licensure Examination Sample Questions. Topic 6. Hatchery and Pond Management. Question number 1. Fish feed component that should be in large quantity to accelerate the broodstock gonadal development and maturation with high egg survival rate. A. Carbohydrate, B. Lipid, C. Protein, D. Fiber. The answer is C. Protein, responsible for the formation of enzymes and hormones, resulting in enlarged ovary size and weight of fish followed by high rate of fry hatchability. Number 2. Gland that can be found in the upper part of the fish head, on the ventral side of the brain where gonadotropin hormones are extracted to be used for induced spawning. A. Thyroid gland, B. Pituitary gland, C. Adrenal gland, D. Thymus gland. The answer is B. Pituitary gland, produces, accumulates, and stores the gonadotropic hormone which plays a decisive role in ovulation. It is an intermediary between the central nervous system and the gonads. Number 3. Ideal rearing temperature for tilapia eggs and fry. A. 20 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius, B. 25 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius, C. 25 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius, D. None of the above. The answer is B. 25 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. Temperatures of below 24 degrees Celsius and above 35 degrees Celsius will lead to high egg mortalities, and any hatchlings may also be very weak and eventually die. Number 4. Saprolegniasis is a fungal disease of fish and fish eggs, also called water molds, common in fresh or brackish water. For prevention or damage control, the following management should be done except A. Maintain good water quality, B. Provide bath treatment, C. Provide good nutrition, D. Reduce water temperature. The answer is D. Reduce water temperature. Low water temperature is a main reason for the spread of this disease. Number 5. Main physicochemical factor that affects embryonic duration, developmental rate, and egg survival rate. A. Temperature, B. Dissolved oxygen, C. pH, D. Heavy metal concentration. The answer is A. Temperature. Fish are poikilotherms, thus, water temperature directly influences the dynamics of the reproductive cycle, affects early development, shape, larval and juvenile fitness. During incubation, water temperature exerts a direct influence on the accumulation of yolk in the eggs of marine teleost. Number 6. The following improves fish larval and fry survival and quality except A. Improving the nutritional quality of the broodstock feed by the addition of more micronutrients, B. Improving the quality of live feed during the first feeding period, C. Disinfecting of fish eggs prior to incubation, D. None of the above. The answer is E. None of the above. Improving broodstock feed by the addition of more micronutrients, improving the quality of live feed during first feeding, disinfecting fish eggs prior to incubation, and improving and maintaining the ideal water temperature and amount of oxygen improves fish larval and fry survival and quality. Number 7. Protein level content of feeds for first feeding to 0.5 grams of tilapia fry. A. 50%, B. 35%, C. 30 to 35%, D. 25 to 30%. The answer is A. 50%. Newly hatched fry should be given complete diet of powdered feed high in protein and energy to meet the demands of the fast-growing fry. The CP content also helps in the stability of the powdered feeds on the surface of the water and remains longer as they are lighter. Number 8. In tilapia breeding, all are false except A. Keep male and female breeders together for conditioning, B. Tilapias being mated can still be fed when the female breeders are expected to spawn, C. After fry are produced and collected, the males and the female are immediately transferred to another breeding unit, D. None of the above. The answer is E. None of the above. Potential male and female breeders should be kept separately to avoid early mating. Tilapias being mated should not be fed when the female breeders are expected to spawn, since this might cause the females to swallow the eggs. After fry are produced and collected, the males should be separated from the female where the females are conditioned, by proper feeding, before mating again. To avoid, or at least reduce, mortalities, the body weights of female and male breeders should be as close as possible to each other. Number 9. In tilapia hatchery, when should be the first fry collection after stocking the breeders? A. 5 to 7 days, B. 10 to 14 days, C. 30 to 32 days, D. 35 to 36 days. The answer is B. 10 to 14 days. The first fry collection may be done 10 to 14 days after stocking the breeders. Fingerlings are collected on the 30th day after stocking up to the 45th day. Number 10. Fish breeding depends on the reproduction biology of the species, on local environmental conditions and on the facilities available. What method is usually employed for catfish propagation? A. Natural propagation, B. Environmental manipulation, C. Semi-natural propagation, D. Artificial propagation. The answer is D. Artificial propagation. Male catfish is injected to stir up the body and mature the milt, and gravid female catfish injected with hormones for it to release the eggs. The milt harvested from the belly of the male catfish are added with saline solution, then poured into the stripped eggs and mixed thoroughly for about a minute, using the same amount of clean freshwater with the saline solution. This is then poured to the milts and eggs to facilitate the fertilization process. Number 11. Your hatchery production have always been high but suddenly struggled with low hatch rates after a few months of stable production and found out that it is due to the water hardness. What is this water component that plays an important role in catfish fry development? A. Magnesium, B. Iron, C. Calcium, D. Aluminum. The answer is C. Calcium. Water hardness levels for egg hatching should ideally be between 30 and 60 ppm. Hatch rates from eggs incubated in water with less than 10 ppm calcium hardness during the first 24 hours after spawning are reduced by as much as 70%. For this reason, it is important to maintain adequate calcium hardness in the hatchery water, a minimum of 20 ppm, especially during the first 24 hours after spawning. Number 12. This is the most practical, cheap and effective method of eliminating undesirable species in pond prior to the culture period. A. Leaching, B. Tilling, C. Pond drying, D. A and B. The answer is C. Pond soil should be dried every time the pond is harvested. Periodic drying stabilizes soil colloids and oxidizes organic matters and thus prepare a suitable environment for the growing of the natural fish food. The purpose of draining and drying are to eradicate fish pond pests, predators, and competitors, to hasten the chemical decomposition of organic matters deposited so that nutrients will become available for the growth of fish food in the fish pond, to totally harvest the fish stock, and to kill fish disease organisms. Number 13. As soon as the pond system has been drained, the pond bottom is immediately blank. A. Pond drying, B. Tilling, C. Leveling, D. All of the above. Answer is B. Tilling improves soil quality by exposing subsoil to the atmosphere, thereby speeding up the oxidation process and the release of nutrients that are locked in the soil. Number 14. The process or result of becoming accustomed to a new climate or to new conditions. A. Platform method, B. Climate change, C. Sack method, D. Acclimatization. Answer is D. Acclimatization is defined as a process where an organism adjusts its behavior or physiology in response to changes in its environment. Number 15. Types of lime used in aquaculture. A. Limestone Caco3, B. Hydred lime CaCOH and quicklime CaO, C. A and B, D. None of the above. Answer is C. Lime can be used to reduce acidity in water. In case the water pH fluctuates greatly during the day, lime also can be used to increase the alkalinity in the water to stabilize water pH. In the area where freshwater influence is more, particularly during the rainy season, water salinity as well as alkalinity decreases. Number 16. It promotes the bacterial breakdown of organic matter and it changes the soil structures. A. Liming, B. Fertilizing, C. Soil sample analysis, D. B and C. The answer is A. Liming neutralizes soil acidity. Soils of the state mostly moderately acidic in nature. It is done to increase the pH value of soil towards alkaline. It supplies calcium needed for plant growth and bone formation of fish and it serves as a fertilizer. Number 17. It increases concentrations of nitrogen, phosphorus, and other plant nutrients to stimulate phytoplankton photosynthesis, which is the basis of the food web culminating in shrimp and fish production. A. Liming, B. Leaching, C. Pond fertilization, D. All of the above. The answer is C. Fertilization also leads to the development of animals which feed on algae, including some fish such as the silver carp and the Nile tilapia. By increasing the availability of major nutrients, fertilizers promote the development of planktonic algae, which provide food for many fish. Number 18. If the water source in a pond is from natural waters, what is the main disadvantage if the water can be diverted and brought in from streams, rivers, or lakes? A. High turbidity, B. Contamination, C. Low oxygen, D. Low temperature. Answer is B. Those animals, plants, and rotting organisms can cause diseases, and other pollutants in water bodies, like the danger of pesticides, will generate contamination in ponds. Number 19. Proper selection of a site is probably the most important factor in the success of a fish farm. The whole future success of enterprise depends on the selection of a good site for freshwater fish farm. What factors should be considered during the selection of a site? A. Soil quality, B. Water supply, C. Local topography, D. All of the above. Answer is D. Water supply is well assured because you must have the necessary supply of good quality water when needed to operate your fish farm. You should always prefer a site where you will obtain your water supply by gravity. In terms of soil quality, remember that even a small layer of a troublesome material such as gravel, sand, or acidic clay can cause problems. It should ascertain that the pond area is not prone to flood. Carefully observe the marks left by flood waters on bushes, trees, bridges, rocks, or other permanent structures. Number 20. Ponds differ according to their source of water, the way in which water can be drained from the pond, the material and method used for construction, and the method used for farming. What kind of freshwater fish ponds are supplied from a spring either in the pond or very close to is where the water supply may vary throughout the year, but the quality of the water is usually constant. A. Spring water ponds, B. Seepage ponds, C. Rain-fed ponds, D. None of the above. The answer is A. Spring water ponds. This pond has no inlet but may have an outlet, occasionally joining with spring runs to feed in larger spring lakes, and this kind of pond is relatively rare because the water flows out of spring-fed ponds at all times, not just after heavy rains.